prepared.
Mr. Chairman, we look at appearances. If this meeting is not going to be televised or recorded, I have a policy of not attending. And I really had a boycott at one point in time for quite a while before that was happening. So reluctantly, and I'm sorry, but I can't stay. So
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
If Terry records it...
No, it has to be an electronic recording.
What if I video it on my phone?
A video.
Yeah.
Or a voice recording.
Well, I'm voice recording it right now, but I
You
could
are?
also do video on my phone.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
What would you
I didn't know that. Nobody told me you were recording it.
Oh, I didn't really tell anybody. I'm just... Okay, so do you want me to... Would you prefer if I voice recorded or actually video recorded?
I don't care, either one.
Okay.
It's just it has to be recorded electronically
Okay.
somehow because...
I'll see how this
seeing
works.
Human,
Just talk loud.
It fails.
So it'll pick you up.
And you have plenty of energy, you're not going to run out
Yeah.
of power.
It's been charging all day.
All right, Terry, we're going to trust you. This is a very risky thing here. We're going to go over the edge. All right. We're missing one member. You think he's on his way?
I'm not...
Where's the clock?
I got it here. It's 4:03.
Okay. Hour being 4:03. We call the meeting to order of the Town of Walpole Sewer and Water Commission. We're having a meeting here tonight in the FinCom meeting room, Town Hall, on School Street, and the date being March 5th. The time is 4 p.m. We have 4 commissioners in attendance. March, okay. And we have a posted agenda. And the first item, I guess we'd like to hear from the town administrator in regard to this FY25 budget review.
Okay, so what you have, what I provided on February 26th is a modest increase, I think, to the budget, which is projects water rates to be an increase of anywhere from 1% to 2.65%, depending on what tier you're in. And on the sewer side, a general overall increase of 1.05%. I'll take any general questions. Just a commentary on my part is there's no significant increases on the water and sewer requests or recommendation on that general side. So how would you like to handle it?
That's it? Any other insights here? These are your recommended increases?
So what you'll see on what's it, page 4, it's basically has the department request, my recommendations next to it, side by side there.
This is the February 28th version that you...
Yeah, but this version of the budgets I gave to you, nothing has changed here. The only thing that changed on that February was the capital information. The budget has stayed the same since January.
All right, we'll open that up for comments, discussion.
I have a couple of comments. One of the things I noticed there is that, I'm very happy to see that we have not gone over 2.5 very much. But, you know, we have water users that use a lot of water. As a matter of fact, somebody told me that Siemens, which had an addition there, but the new addition uses almost the capacity of one of our wells. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and, you know, we gave those people $21 million, basically, in money to help them. maybe they should be bearing a bigger burden of the water supply, and maybe their rate shouldn't be 2.5, because it seems that they're the ones putting the stress on us. I mean, if we lose, basically, they take one of our wells out for their use. I mean, that's a cost item that needs to be recovered somehow. So this is my suggestion, is that maybe we could look at the large water users, and I mean very large water users, to raise the rates up in a progressive manner.
So would you propose another tier then? Would you
I
like
kind of, yes.
Would you like us to explore another tier, call it tier 5?
Oh, yeah. I would like to explore that. Whatever way. I'm not an expert on budgets or anything, but if it would be another tier or if it would be integrated into an existing tier, whatever. That's not my bailiwick, really. But it seems to me just, water is, especially industrial water, and I use that term, they don't like it, some people, but we do have it. And that water is very valuable. Many towns have water, but they don't have the type of water we have that can promote industry. But that comes at a cost, because it uses our resources. And since we don't have unlimited resources, basically because of the state limiting our water withdrawal, it puts us in a frying field. The state wants industry, yet they put impediments in our way. So I think one way we can sort of get around that is by getting more revenue from these large water users. It can offset and help us find different sources and pay those sources.
It's a good comment. Mr. Mattson, maybe you could put some light on that. With the addition of Siemens, can you identify like a percentage increase the water use has gone up based on their expansion?
I don't have that number. I can certainly check on that.
Okay, that would be good. I would support a 5th tier, as Mr. Johnson classified it. I think it's justified in a way. I mean, given the...
Would it be a 5th tier or a
separate
industrial rate?
I think it should be a separate class of water.
Separate class of water. So people don't feel it's discriminatory. It might help to realize the water that Siemens gets from us, they pay less than a penny for a gallon, or a penny, whatever they pay. They sell in medical kits for like $500 a gallon or $1,000 a gallon. So they make a tremendous margin on that water. It's not like us increasing the little amount we charge them is going to hurt their profitability of their business operation in any way. So I think that's an excellent idea, and we should pursue that. I guess we wouldn't.
So I guess the question is to Pradeep's point. Should it be a separate industrial rate or a 5th tier?
So just to piggyback on that, that's what we were just whispering on the side here. So it would be a separate industrial charge code just for that one particular user. So that would be, we can easily do that, but I just want to make it clear when we're setting up the rates or changing this, is that what the commissioners would like?
Mr. Chairman, we'll probably be in the body basis.
If I could to that point,
Could the administration
do it to one person?
give us scenarios?
Right, so you'd have to classify.
with
You have to
with
industrial
different ways
parameters, yeah.
of doing it. You're discussing it right now. But the thing is, we need to see something, different ways you want to do it, and the commission then can look at that and see what the policy will be.
Yeah, we have time before the rate hearing.
Oh, yeah.
To have a couple of proposals.
Give you a couple different scenarios.
Right, but I think that aside, John, I think what we're looking for here today is like a consensus on the overall O&M budget and
Oh,
probably.
you're right, but the charge to the commission was, anybody have any
Yeah, no, I understand, but I just don't want to lose sight of the fact that the FinCom meeting is tomorrow night, so we have to have a consensus, budgetary-wise, before we go to the finance committee. That's all. And the rates are what they are.
Director Madison, if you look at the history of our country, you'll find out that the founding fathers never made our system of government to be efficient.
I know you've given me this speech.
You understand that. And it was supposed to be deliberate and take all the time we needed. So we can't be rushed.
No, I understand
And that's like a feeling you're
But in
rushing.
fairness to the due process, you've had this since January 26th.
We'll do due process. It may take some time.
Okay.
No, well, let's just, I don't think we've had any objections yet, Rick. Why don't we just see?
No, and I think Scott put together a very good O&M budget. It's a needs-based budget. There are no wants in there. Everything, if you look at this budget, 75% of it covers the pumping and treating of water. Okay, in terms of chemicals, electrical usage, cleaning and redevelopment of the wells. That is the largest. Those are the largest nuts in this budget. Everything else operationally is pretty much level funded. The chemicals have been the wild card for the last couple of years. They continue to increase. Unfortunately, they flatlined a little bit this year, but who knows what we're going to get next year. And it's a very good budget. On the sewer side, we all know the MWRA sewer assessment is always deep well. We have no control over that whatsoever. If you take out that MWRA charge out of that budget, it's a pretty minute budget. We have like maybe $130,000 to operate the entire sewer system. That's not a lot of money. So there are no frills in this budget. And I know Pradeep, you wanted some time to look at it, and if you have any questions, I'm sure Scott can answer us to why he put in 40.
As for the rates, I understand what you're saying. We do have time on the rates. We'll provide you with a couple of different scenarios as requested on the water side and see if there's, Rick just mentioned, we're pretty tight on the sewer side, but we'll see if there's any options we can do there.
Even on the sewer side, I think we should have industrial code. The NARU charges almost like $180 for the same industrial sewer users, and we are still kind of way low, $112. So I think there's a chance to have the industrial code on the sewer system also. That will basically take the
Industrial code.
for sewer.
We can do that.
So, just to be clear, would it be a separate standalone charge, or would it be just an industrial coded rate?
It should be industrial coded rate for the industries which want to use the sewer, because if the Norwood is charging $180, we should not be discounting them and putting the burden on the residential people. So that's the solution. You can check the Norwood rates also to compare the sewer.
Classified as industrial first.
So, Pradeep, could I just let Lisa chime in on this one?
So what would happen is the water and sewer department would have to identify every account that you consider industrial, because I'm assuming it's not going to be just one. So you'd identify all your industrial type users, and then we would create a charge code or a code that's associated with that particular. Like we take the 110 off, or the 210, and we put 310 or whatever.
I think it's pretty simple, because I
Right.
think there's probably only two of them.
Right, so that's even better. So
Yeah,
you only have
well,
On the
Siemens.
sewer side, right? But on the water side, you'd have to...
Same.
you only have two.
Oh,
So that's
okay.
even better.
Okay.
If that's done, what we'll need is a reason why you're designated industrial.
Yeah,
And that-
they would tell us. We would
There'll have
tell
to be a
you.
rationale.
Right, you guys would have the rationale.
Right, you'd have to come up with the
And that will
parameters.
be, I don't know who can do that, but somebody should do that, because they have to be
Not arbitrary and
adequate.
capricious, so that has to come from you guys, the logic and the rationale as to why you charge it that rate.
That's correct. And I think we could make a very good case for that, but that's not my job. It's your job.
No, it's a policy decision. It's not
No,
my job.
it's a policy decision that it happens, but the point to justify
You want the
it,
reasoning.
you folks need to do that.
It's a volume and use category. I mean, they have a high volume and they're in the production of a product, something that they're selling or reselling. In both cases, it would apply. Because they're a large user, they're absorbing disproportionate amount of resources.
They're using a lot of our resources that we can't replace because we're stymied because of the withdrawal permit, basically. And our distribution might have to be increased or get larger, and we need that revenue, and it shouldn't come from the people who aren't using that extra water. You know, for instance, if we didn't put hydrants in, you know how much that is a huge amount of cost to the town. If you have a water system like there are some, where they only supply domestic water, drinking water, and they don't even have, fire suppression water, their systems have much less infrastructure, much less costly infrastructure. So on that note,
That's what I'm getting.
when you increase the demand for the industrial water, and again, this is your bill to figure it out. I'm not.
Devil's in the details, bring a recommendation forward to you and explain.
I wouldn't use that because that makes the devil.
Some people think I'm the devil. Okay, thank you for that directive, we'll take that. Yeah. Overall, the O&M budgets look satisfactory to the commissioners?
Yeah.
I do have one question though. Are we done?
Is that except for your question?
Okay, my question is, tell us about indirect costs this budget. How much is it going to be? What's the % increase?
So indirect cost total, on the water side. Water side, it's $1,393,755.
I'm sorry, you got to say that. I got to write it down.
$1,393,755. And on the sewer side, it's $547,628.
Okay. And how much increase is that?
So the sewer side, last year was $477.10.
So that's the increase.
Yeah,
477.
477 last fiscal year on the sewer side, and on the water side it was 1,326,000. So it went up 60,000 on the rough numbers, 60,000 on the water side, and about 70,000 or so.
So what's the percentage? That's what I'm looking for.
Give me a minute.
Finance director's figuring it out.
And then why is a 70,000 increase in big?
What's that?
Why is a $70,000 increase in the sewer indirect cost? Like, do you know?
We have the percentage breaking down and everything. I didn't print that out for you. But I can tell you, as Jody's figuring that out, we stuck to the formula that was established a few years ago, consistent with that report that the commissioners commissioned. We haven't swayed from that report, and I can
We just
say.
want to see which part is increasing more on the sewer side. Because on the water it looks okay, but on sewer it's a major increase.
As she looks it up, are there any further questions?
Well, sounds like we're good.
So would it be satisfactory to the commissioners if I provided you with that indirect report, compared them side by side with the last year's and previous numbers, what was established by that consultant, and then the devil's in the details? Sorry, Patrick. We'll get that to you, certainly. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we are accepting the budget as for the O&M budget as defined, presented to us for both water and sewer.
As of what date?
We have the document that's
Yeah.
dated February 28th.
So the document February 28th. Second motion, second for that?
Second.
You second it? Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 400.
Thank you. I'm sure you got that, too. So the other item on your agenda was the capital improvement plan. So what we went back and did, and I know this was briefly discussed at the sewer and water, at the select board meeting last week, is we took I was interested in what the costs are and what the impact would be if we went forward with the $7 million in work that needed to be done for that interconnection. So this was before I knew about this extra $8 million, which we can talk about afterwards. So we just went forward, updated it. I asked Steve and Scott to provide some input, Rick also. Basically, we took the 5-year plan that was in place that was presented to town meeting, and it's always in the back of the warrant booklet. I asked them, what are we missing? We haven't updated it for 6 months or whatever, less than that. Well, maybe about 6 months now. What needs to be on there? So this is based on the staff's recommendations, pretty much consistent, which is what appeared in the booklet for the water and the sewer side. Scott or Steve or Rick, anything specific you guys want to speak to on this one?
No, these again, these are needs as opposed to wants. Some of them could probably be postponed. I would caution against postponing anything that has to do with, for example, the storage tanks. You don't want to let them fall into a total state of disrepair. Right now, based on the reports that Scott and Steve got, they're still in relatively good condition. However, if you remember, cast your memory back to the High Plain Street, Old Post Road tanks, if you let them go beyond the recommended time for maintenance, you create more problems. And along with those problems come additional costs. I would suggest that you just look at these, and if you have any questions on any particular item, ask the question now, and then we can probably do clarification or a better description or a better answer as to what we have and what we've got for.
So, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was out collecting signatures the other day, and when the lady found out I was running for some water again, she said, well, I had a leak. This was on Summit Avenue, where she lives. And when I finally, I think the town called her or something, she knew it eventually, and it was down the basement, her toilet was running, and she wound up with an $800 bill. But, you know, we spend good money, and this is the part about here. When we buy something, you know, we spend all this money of the ratepayers' money, we expect it to work. Why aren't people who have an anomaly on their water bill being notified in a timely manner? Because we have the equipment to do that. What's happening that people are getting $800 water bill and it's showing up, but we're not catching it?
So let me say this first and foremost. You have one side of the story. Okay. So I don't know if we notified that particular person, but to the best of the staff's ability, when they get those flags, when those accounts are flagged, they notify the people the day they get the flag.
The day, you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
By phone?
Yes.
And if there's no answer, will they leave a message or what do they do?
Yes. They're very thorough. They'll text the account.
We'll leave a message, and if that doesn't work, we'll actually have the guys put a card on their doorknob.
So they actually do due diligence in trying to resolve those issues.
This is not the first time I got the complaint, but it was just happened a few days ago. And I thought that since we have a new system coming into play, oh, by the way, she does not have a new MTU yet. Because I asked her if she get the admins for her house.
Do you have an address on that, Pat?
That's Summit.
Any idea what number?
No, we were on the street, but they don't collect, you know.
What's your definition of due?
It's what?
I don't know what, I don't know the definition.
It's
Now, is it
not-
the new one that we're piloting, or is it the new?
I'm not complaining about that.
No, I understand. I just want to get some more information so we can help her out.
I don't want it to be systemic.
Right.
And she's the only one in the town that happened to. I can
Well,
understand
we
that.
called you when you had a leak, didn't we? We called you, didn't we?
You did? Okay. Yes, and I don't have a new one to you either.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about as far as new, but you talking about the piloted one? Because that's in here, as your part of your capital improvements.
But, okay, all right, we'll look at that, okay? Because people get in, the water bills, I told her if the water bill is too hard for her to pay, that we can make arrangements with the treasurer and we can work something out.
Yeah, I don't, to my knowledge, Patrick, we haven't received any inquiries or anything from anybody in that area regarding a high water bill or a leak.
Okay.
But we can certainly
Well,
check.
people always have complaints. I mean, that's one bad thing about going around signing your nomination papers. Everybody's got a chance to air some grievances now. Which is fine.
So in terms of priority, as you guys go through this list, do you have a set of priorities?
Well, I just have some questions. Are any of the water main replacements dealing with the AC mains?
No.
Okay, so we're still working with the cat.
I interrupted for
The PFAS treatment system, do we have a similar breakdown like we have for the MWA, splitting that $7 million into
No.
bite-sized chunks?
Because then I'll tell you what, right now it's currently under study by a consultant. Acquagenics is currently looking at us and going to provide us with the best available technology. So therein lies the wild card. And the bigger wild card is, do we need one system or two systems?
Okay.
Add one in each.
Right, yeah.
Because we have two separate, distinct sources of water. One is very high in organics, the other one is not.
Right.
So this, if you look at this, it's not just PFAS, it's PFAS that's right here in the method.
So someone gave us the $7 million estimate, I assume?
It's $7 million based on research that I believe Steve did, and we're looking at similar treatment facilities that went in the local area.
Okay.
And they were averaging 6.5, 6.8, 7.2 million.
We looked at the 2021 SRF projects with PFAS.
Natick, Mansfield, Newark.
So they're all like the same, PFAS additions on their current treatment plants.
The new meters, I was asked to provide a list of all our customers' street addresses so that they could find if there are dead spots. And you're aware of my concern that we're going to spend $3 million and just exchange dead spots and that cause us problems getting out right.
So correct me if I'm wrong, so we're going to have to do a propagation study just to make sure that there are no dead spots. It's a cellular network.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, so
we know cell phones have
but
dead
there
spots.
are certain things, I guess, with this particular system and other cell network systems that we can do to enhance it in dead spots. I don't expect that it is going to be a large-scale issue.
Like Rick was saying, the dead spot in one carrier might not be a dead spot in another, and it's multiple carriers.
They're using multiple carriers.
Right.
Well, that's what my concern is to spend $3 million, and right now we get between 5 and 10% of we don't get readings from the existing, are we going to get 5 to 10% from, but different houses because they're different?
No, the goal with this system and the existing system, to be quite honest with you, is capture 100% of the readings.
Well, I hope so, but when I hear that it's cell phone based, and knowing that cell phones, there are dead spots, I just want to make sure that we're not spending too much.
So that's a decision, again, that the board needs to make. Do you want to go with a cell phone network, or do you want to go with something?
Well, I'm not objecting to the technology as long as we're not exchanging one set of dead spots for a different, because one's radio and the other's using cellular phones. I've looked at the website of what they provide, and I didn't see a whole lot that we gained. I looked at it and said, gee, it goes up on Wednesdays and Saturdays. And I go, oh, that's when we do laundry. The rest of the time, it's just little jiggles. I go, well, I'm not sure we're gaining a whole lot, but I don't know if others have had a chance to look at the website of what we're getting. But my main concern is that we are going to be able to getting readings far better than, having to chase every time
Yeah, I don't
a
think
cycle.
I don't think we would suggest that the commission purchase and utilize a system that's not going to be functional. We'll have to wait for that propagation study, and I think, like you said, they have all the addresses.
I gave them
I
all
don't
the
know where they're
addresses.
at in that process, so if you just check
So,
out.
the same system is used in Sharon, isn't it?
Sharon is a cell network, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So Sharon is much more broader and much more, I don't have fed
Right.
more dead spots
Different
in Sharon
terrain, too.
than the Walpole.
They've got some high spots and low spots in Sharon.
That's where
And
antennas
from the-
are.
And from the technology point of view, I think all the old radio signals are going out of use even for recording, let's say, your solar reading or anything. Everyone is relying on cellular network now. Even the hospitals are moving to the same network. I think they will improve, the cellular technology will improve. We have to catch up. If you're still 5 years later, if you're talking, I think we'll be talking about something else on the same. But overall, I think the metering components, the pilots which you guys are doing are good. I've seen the output. It's better than having nothing. It's better to catch up with what technologies are, other towns are doing, and what is available.
And we have been in contact with Sharon. They have over 6,500 counts, a little bit smaller than us, and they're happy with it.
Okay.
They didn't report any major issues.
How long have they had it?
A couple of years, I believe. I can get the dates for you if you want to know.
Coming back to capital budget, I have a question on the water main replacement, the $2 million for next 3-4 years. Do we have federal funding available for it? I keep on listening to all this news that federal government is sponsoring this fund, that fund for water replacement, for old pipes and everything. So do we have funds available from the federal government?
I believe a lot of the federal funding was to do with the replacement of lead service. I don't know as if there's anything available for water main replacements. There is through the state SRF. That's the thing that you look at. And that's like a 2% interest loan.
If I recall, they're competitive.
Yes.
It's not apply and you get it. It's
Very competitive.
Yes.
As far as, are you aware, Jim?
No, not at all directly coming to us.
So that for next 5 years, I think we are planning almost almost $10 to $12 million. We should try to compete with other towns, even if it is a
In terms of funding?
funding. Yeah. I think that's a huge amount. And there must be big reason from your side to replace those pipes. That should match with the federal requirement.
Yeah, that $2 million gets us roughly a mile of pipe.
So my
Which is not a
general
lot.
concern when I sent this out to the guys here was $2 million. That's a lot. How are we shot back at me, as he's good at doing, and saying, it's either that, he is, or do it all at once. And I understand, next year, if we're looking at everything, we're presenting, coming this summer saying, okay, here's where we're at. We have a good idea of what this MWRA connection is going to be. What if we only had $1 million? If you said, here's your box, Jim, make this work. We only want to raise rates by X if we're going forward with this. I have to stay within that, but just knowing that for every $2 million we don't spend, if we only spend $1 million, we're going to play catch up eventually. I think if we do the same thing with the roads program on the town side, I think they come forward and ask for something similar to $1 million plus on top of our Chapter 90, and we can never keep up with it. So that's my point.
One of the things Patrick sent us announcements from the MWRA about funding availability, phase 4 local water supply assistance programs, $300 million available to towns to improve their conditions. Is that something?
Yeah, but we don't have a MWRA water system, so we're not eligible.
Oh, I see, okay, that doesn't apply to us then. It's too bad, they got a bunch of grants here. But there are towns like, cities like Fall River. It's astounding how much money they get for their infrastructure, for their sewer and water. They get like every kind of grant you can imagine, for every kind. I'm just wondering, is there a way maybe some consultant, somebody who's a grant specialist in sewer and water we can get to have, see if you can chase down something about, this like a continuous refreshing of our water supply distribution system. I don't know if there's any money available or not. Maybe we could ask.
So I think for a relatively small fee, we could find somebody that could give us like a summary of what's available for grants and what is available for federal funding. I don't think that's a huge chore, a huge lift on their end. There are people that do that. There are firms that do that. But we're notified when like federal and state money comes out. As a public water supplier, they have all of our information, and they typically send us information for this grant opportunity. And we've taken advantage of quite a few of them over the years, albeit they've been relatively small. The biggest financial contribution we got for grant/loan was through the MWRA for the inflow and infiltration program.
Yeah.
That was also on Patrick's thing. So we're well into that. We've taken advantage of every penny that they've offered us.
No, I'm just talking about future. There's no criticism of what we've been doing.
No,
What they want is just looking for opportunities.
There are people that can do that.
If that happened to be, because we do have a lot on our plate
We
coming
can
up.
try to
with
find
capital
somebody to
outlay.
help us out with
Yeah.
that.
We could have the residents all apply for the $10,000 credit cards that the president's given out to all the migrants. Maybe they could give them out to citizens of Walpole for water relief. Instead of giving them out there. But anyway, I had another question on the miscellaneous heavy equipment. There was about $750,000, $750,000. Now, is this like vehicle equipment?
Yeah, these are larger equipment and anything that's within the fleet. Okay, so it could be like the case in point would be the Vector truck. That's a very expensive piece of equipment. We're in good shape in terms of the backhoe because we just purchased that this year. One other thing would be our large 6-wheel dump truck and our front end loader. They're starting to get some gears. They're not in disrepair by any means. We could certainly, if necessary, extend that out a little bit and just keep a close eye on it.
I would say just, and it's totally a novice view, but I think we do have a lot of town vehicles, and I don't know if there's any way to hone in better and get better use out of what we do have. And the other thing I'm really concerned about is the group of folks who want the town to be on electric vehicles here within a couple of years, 2030.
There are no electric vehicles in this.
So,
Well, I know.
part of
Is
that
a
Greens
problem?
community, if that's what you're talking about, when I wrote it, I was mindful of this, and I exempted the DPW vehicles.
Right. We filed for
Okay, well, that's a relief.
Yeah.
You guys are all going to be fighting for charging stations.
Mr. Chairman, we're getting this equipment, which I think is great. But when we use it for snow plowing, for instance, the amount of time should be subtracted from our indirect costs. You know what I'm saying here?
Yes, when there are
That
damages,
should be something that we can take off.
it gets subtracted from snow and ice.
I have never seen that.
Yeah. So maintenance on the vehicles, if there's any maintenance-related work that needs to be done to those vehicles during, before, or after the storm.
As a result of damage.
As a result of being used in snow and ice. They are charged in snow
Is
and
that
ice.
documented someplace?
She's a stickler for it.
I'll talk
Yeah, I
to-
drive them crazy, but we have to charge those things too. Mass General law somewhere says that we have to charge those things to snow and ice.
Okay, I need to see that, because, the prime reason we exist, the Sewer and Water Commission, is to watch out for the money. That's why we're here. This is why it was created, is that we are the people who need to watch out that the people's money is being spent in a reasonable manner. So,
All repairs.
that's why I'm
Sure.
checking on that, because
Yeah.
it all adds up.
Right. But all the repairs that are relative to snow and ice, and the gas also with the snow and ice, all gets charged up to snow and ice. So it doesn't go into the enterprise fund or the general fund.
And along that line, your auditor said there was a $60,000 part that was not, that was outstanding from the indirect costs that should be deducted someplace. What happened to that $60,000?
I think we didn't charge you enough, is what
What?
he said. I think he said it should have been 60,000 higher.
No, it was $60,000. Oh, my goodness. Oh, gee. You're good though, I can admit, you can move that around.
I had one other thing here. I think on the category you have, you call PFAS THM treatment system. Is there a way to classify that in a more general way, like water system improvement projects or something?
You can call it whatever
Just
you
in the
guys
event,
want.
I think that PFAS is such a universal problem that somebody, somewhere in government, somebody's going to come out with subsidies and some kind of financial rescue for towns like us. And it's often, I'll never forget, and this is not anything to bring with anybody, but the town of Walpole, the state wanted to go to the aquifer program, and they wanted the towns to do aquifer delineations. And we were such good Boy Scouts, we ran out there, and we wanted to do this so fast. We did our own delineation. The state said, we're probably going to get grants, it's probably going to be, we're going to be doing this down the road. But we went and spent over $1 million to do the delineation. But before we were finished, the state came out and did their own on Walpole. And then we were forced to use the state's delineation, and we really lost $1 million by moving too fast on a problem that was coming on the horizon, but we couldn't wait for the freight train to catch up to us so we could get the relief of the federal program. And I suspect so many towns that aren't as healthy as Walpole is, who have the PFAS system, they're going to need to be bailed out on PFAS. There's got to be something coming.
So we joined the
So I
class.
don't want to and I see that as, again, with our MWO connection, that could take the relief off of any short-term PFAS emergencies we might have.
PFAS, yes. Trihalomethanes, methanes, no.
Try how, can I talk about this for a second?
Okay, so I'm just wondering if I don't see how it would hurt to have that category, just to massage a little bit the definition, the terminology, just so we have more flexibility.
Water quality enhancement.
Yeah.
Water quality enhancement.
Projects. That's all I would ask, just so we have a little more flexibility in that.
But to Jim's point on the PFAS thing, we did join a...
Class action lawsuit a couple of years ago.
I'm sorry.
So a few years ago, it was opened up to everyone. We joined a class action lawsuit. We did the same thing with opioids. Opioids were finally starting to get some of the money. This one I expect it to be much more, but it's still working its way through the whole process. But I expect this to eventually. Do I think it's going to be $7 million? No. To give you some perspective, opioids about $300,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be a windfall to cover the whole thing, but we can certainly change it to water quality system enhancement. If that's
Okay, I would appreciate that. I think that gives us flexibility in what we're trying to do with the MWRA. I haven't given up on that by any means.
Mr. Chairman, on the trihalomethanes, on the capital improvement, I don't see anything about ultraviolet.
Never will.
Why not? Why do you have a resistance to using the...
Scott, tell them what happens with UV.
Yeah, but tell me
It would
that,
be
Scott.
very expensive, very high maintenance, dangerous to work with.
And you still have the disinfectant.
Yeah,
Does it work in getting rid of the triholomethanes?
they can, but it's not the best option.
And does it use any chemicals?
No.
It does, in that you still need to disinfect afterwards.
Yeah, but that's something else. Yes, because you're doing pre-chlorine. That's why you're generating the trihalomethanes. If you're doing final chlorine, you wouldn't be. And you know that because I was at the same conference you were. So that's it. So you can, if we use I understand we have to spend money. And I'm willing to do that. I have no problem with that, if it helps the water. And my idea is that there should be nothing in the water that God didn't put in it. And God didn't put in the trihalomethanes. So the best way to get that out without causing a lot of problems might cost us more. Would you please investigate that? I've been talking about this for about 5 years now.
So
Investigate UV.
Using light to get rid of the trihalomethanes.
the assessment that's being done right now for both PFAS and trihalomethanes, we're not telling them what technology we want to use or install. They're telling us their recommendation.
Okay.
It's best.
Talk to the people at MWRA, the water treatment people. They use the ultraviolet. Okay? And I had a big discussion with them, and they're very satisfied. So give them a call, and I'll just talk to one of the engineers, and he'll answer any question you have.
Why did you say it's not safe, Scott?
It's a dangerous thing to work around. The ozone,
To work around?
with ultraviolet, yeah.
They were using it in schools. They have the kids walk through with COVID. So I don't know how dangerous it could be. Anyway, Bill had something, we kind of interrupted.
Yes, if we determine what our priorities on the capital budget, I worked up a spreadsheet that looks at all the expenses, broken it down: personal expense, services expenses, indirect, the debt costs using the actual numbers that were in the chart. Obviously, they're not the actual until you actually borrow. And the total interest, the total of that, and then the revenue sources that we use in defining rates, as well as determining how much the rates would have to be by the tiers, and if we want to add additional tiers, that's fine. And it ends up saying, here is what the rates would be, and with 4 different users, one in each tier, what's the actual dollar cost that changes from, and you can then change the percentages that you see, the indirects changing every year, and I've done it, as an example, out to FY30. I don't see any need to go any further. And one can see that, with this sort of an increase, that's what the new rates would be. This is what somebody who's using 1,200 cubic feet a quarter, 2,200 cubic feet a quarter, 3,000, 4,500. So instead of, and I mentioned that Selectmen, if something costs $2, it's going to raise 50%. It's nice to know, wait a minute, that's just $1, as opposed to 50%.
And that's what, I think I know Jim O'Neill towards the end was asking about that. And we looked at the cost impact, and the answer at the time was no. We only did 1 year with the cost impact, so could we work with you on that one, Bill?
Yes.
I have a copy.
You have it? Yes, I gave you a copy.
Okay, well, don't go, you're not going to circumvent the rest of the commissions on this, Bill.
No.
We're going to have to review it, take a look at it. I don't know where you're getting your numbers from, but...
And I would
don't give it to any FinCom.
I would hate to say the percentage that I saw on something that we've changed, so the numbers are changing, because I don't want Jim to be blamed for the rest of his life on some increase that I
never gonna
not
happen.
him.
So sweet.
Okay, John.
So, John, to your point that you just made, I think it would be helpful to us to, But if the board was okay with this as it stands now, yes, Jim, we're got the blessing. We're comfortable with this now. We'd like to see the funding plan. I'd like to be able to, Bill gives that to us, we'd be able to plug it in here so we can physically show you, here's what Bill's talking about. Would you be okay with that in a future meeting?
Yeah, at a future meeting. I just don't want this to muddle up the FinCom presentation.
All that's going forward tomorrow night is the operating O&M budget that was approved
What we
tonight.
approved here, that's
Yeah.
all that should go. I just want to make sure, because Bill and I talked on the phone about this and so forth, but I mean, there's some assumptions and things I have concern about without everybody vetting it.
So my general question for the board is a major change, water quality system enhancement. Is there items on this list in the sewer list? The sewer list is much smaller that you would like changed or pushed down or pushed up?
I think it would be useful to see the impact, again, that, because and John, you've made that point to me many times, we're going to be selling more water with all these apartments. And my spreadsheet works on that. You can see the impact of the increased water, or you decide, no, we're not going to send as much, and you can see where the rates go. I also came up with an example where, using the idea that we saw in the Abrams Group, which also is used in other places, where a per bill charge, and what's the impact, particularly on the lower tiers, and using what we got for the original numbers for the debts, and I see that, like I say, some of them have changed.
But I just don't want to publish something in the warrant book that commissioners are not comfortable with.
No, and I understand. So it would be, I'm just letting folks know I can provide something that I think would not only say, oh, well, here's the percentage, but here's what it costs for a dollar.
The sewer system expansion for 25 is where is that? At $2 million?
We're not going to expand the sewer. We tried finding folks who really need it, and they don't want it. When they see what the cost is, it's not
If
happening.
you'd like us to take it off, we will. But that's my question. Do you want it off there?
Yeah, exactly.
It should come out.
Thank you. And I'm worried about, we'll leave the heavy equipment on there. I'm just worried, Rick, about this electric thing. If they were exempt, and we're truly exempt, we're not.
It was written into our policy that was approved by the state, because when they were pushing it through, that was my biggest concern. You can't have heavy-duty equipment as electric.
Vehicles over a certain weight are exempt, and every one of our vehicles is over that weight that was designated for exemption.
Out of curiosity, it apply to the fire department as well?
Oh, yeah. Police vehicles, too.
Well, they get pretty heavy. In many ways.
We need to vote this,
I'd like-
3 articles that we're supporting the 3 articles.
You already voted to, you voted to sponsor the...
You already voted.
Okay, all right. I just want
So-
to make sure that you're set for tomorrow.
With that edit, the booklet goes to publishing at the end of March. Are you comfortable with this list as it stands now, or would you like to? I just don't want to publish anything the commission doesn't agree with.
So just add a few comments. We still need to discuss this MWRA connection,
Yeah.
isn't it? And the other thing is, if you're expecting the rate to increase, I think if you're going to spend $7 million, the first thing you should look is to basically change the billing system to monthly. You want to spend some money on customer care and billing so that people's budget is not out of way whenever they increase the rates. So if you're thinking that in future the rate increase needs to happen, the first thing you should think about to make sure that the bill increases can fit the family's budget. And that's only possible with monthly billing. I don't think if you're expecting like 10% increase in future without giving them an option to do a monthly billing, then it's not a great thing to be in that position.
We could add that as a capital item. There are costs we see what, going to monthly, what it affects the rate.
Yeah, I
So
think
that's not the problem.
when we have, I'm not, I don't have any issue with the 2 millions and even all the small ones. The issue is this particularly MWRA connection or anything big like PFAS, $7 million. That will need a rate increase, isn't it? Everyone agrees that way. And if you're increasing the rates, then it should have a little or less impact on the budget of the tenants who are going to pay for next 10 to 15 years. And we need to think about spending some money on the monthly billing system so that the impact is less to the budget. I personally don't feel paying like $500 or $800 in summer. It's way out of the budget. You know, I go and check my kids' bathroom, I start yelling at them, but that's everyone's family's problem. So I think that the town should add that plan.
Yeah. I forget.
I-
We did get estimates for the monthly bill on it.
Yes,
Well, to dig
that's why you
those
know that
Do you
there's
remember?
costs involved, and
Yeah, it went up because the frequency
Yeah.
of quite a bit.
We can try to dig those documents also.
So if you'd like,
Yeah.
build it into this and
Yes.
whatever the numbers.
Yes, that's because whenever any item which comes up for $7 million or $5 million, I think the first impact is to the users. So they should be much more.
So, hold on, Matt, just so, we're going to take out that $2,050,000 sewer system expansion item?
Yes.
okay.
And
If I could just make one point on the list of capital
Yeah,
budgets.
okay. Yeah, I already crossed that out, yeah.
I mean, we've listed those capital items in the back of the town warrant forever.
Yeah.
And I know that activating Minebrook 4 often was in the fifth year, probably for a decade. I view it, when you're looking at the next year and the year after that, those are things that are probably going to happen. But new things have a tendency to, come in. But what I've always looked at is when you get out to the other end,
Yeah.
it's more of, here's the plan of I want to give you to see what's actually going to be coming, but not so necessarily in 5 years.
Well,
Because,
quite honestly, that's what the 350 is. So when I got this from these guys,
yeah,
I said, okay, where's the loader that's going to come up? I know the dump trucks. You know, how much did we pay for that Mack? That was $300, right?
Yeah.
On the highway side. So
Highway side.
that was. These are the miscellaneous equipment, heavy equipment.
no, I'm not talking about the listing. I mean, I'm
No,
talking
but I'm
about
saying,
the bigger items.
to your point, that
Is-
5-year item at 350, that's just a placeholder. So if you'd like me to put a
And then so
placeholder.
folks see, okay, there's a lot of things to go, but some of them are big, but there's a pretty good chance that whatever you've listed for the fifth year isn't going to happen in the fifth year. It may, if something breaks, it may move up, but the others are something that you're identifying, as Rick said, these are things that need to be done so people can see, rather than,
So you
that it's a five.
suggested we add Minebrook in there?
no, I would not. I would say you don't want to list a 10-year or a 15-year plan, because the further out you go, but I have no objection to listing the items that you see on the horizon and not worrying about year 4 or 5. I only look at the first two as something that's actually going to happen, and the further you go, yeah, we'll get to them. It may be in year 6, it may be in year 7, maybe it will be in year 5, but so people see, here's a list of things that are coming down the road.
So I'll add in, if the commission's fine with it, Pradeep's suggestion on the monthly billing, and we'll take up that, whatever that number is for this upcoming fall. Okay.
so, we want to talk about the MWRA.
So,
The other thing is, Jim, do you
The
think,
people.
do you want to keep that $7 million for PFAS, or you want to have that TBD?
I can change it to TBD for the amount. Yeah, that's fine.
TBD.
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay. And I'll change it to water quality system enhancement.
And we can look at that equipment in a little more detail.
So then, if everyone Commission, do you mind voting on this with the exception of the MWRA? I'm going to leave it as TBD for now, and I'll get to this last thing that I gave you guys. So,
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we agree with the list of priorities with the changes that have been discussed here, adding the monthly, taking some of the TBDs. You've got them all down there, Jim.
I wrote it.
Second?
I second it.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Same. 301.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so what I handed out to you towards the end is something you said it yesterday. We just got this, or Leah just got it yesterday to us from Stantec, which is the engineering firm Norwood hired. I've only read through this once this afternoon. Something that jumped up to me is, if you look on page 5, they specifically say, and I'm going to hand it out to Rick after this, but 6-inch water main that is over 100 years old supplied for a 12-inch. Item 5 at the bottom, relying on a 12-inch water main that's over 7 years old. To me, it just jumps out that they're looking to balance their infrastructure on our backs completely. Do I think, would I like to go to the Norwood general manager and say, listen, Tony, Norwood's not paying for your whole system improvement, and I'd hate to just say we're walking away. We would pay our fair share, certainly, but I don't think we should be paying the whole water, whether we go with Milo or Union Street, at a 7.9 or an 8.3 improvement cost. All of us were blown away by this, so what do you do anything with that?
Yeah, no, I was totally blown away by it.
Can I say something here?
Sure.
You know, let's say we don't wind up getting MWRA water because of knowledge. They're accepted. Well, you know, under the state law, we have the right of a thing called water seizure. And when I did work with the water department in a different municipality, I noticed that there were plenty of them. Actually, Norwood has a water seizure in Westwood on a pond there. We've always, in the back of our minds, had using Willard Pond as a reservoir.
Absolutely.
So if we never got MWRA water, and it was Norwood's fault because they were being unreasonable, one of the things we'd have to do is probably seriously consider taking the water from Willard Pond and putting it in our system after we treated it appropriately.
When you're seriously looking
So,
at it,
you know, this
look
benefits
into what
everybody.
the equivalent of Area 1, Zone 1, Zone 2, Zone 3 is, or surface water. And when we end up taking all the houses on Bullard Street or whatever, because they're too close to the Willard Pond, many of them back up to it.
Yeah, so what are you talking about?
I'm just saying, before you say, oh, that's a week, and I know you're just saying theoretically, there is
You think
a...
that when you take water from a reservoir, that it moves the shoreline?
I would look to see what the regulations for Zone A, B, and C, which are the equivalent for surface waters, Zones 1, 2, and 3.
We'd be looking at a different town.
I'm just suggesting it's
that would be
a big lot of water, but it's surrounded by places that are within like 400 feet of the edge.
Often is surrounded by houses.
They also have a huge... Let's take Willard Pond while we're at it.
I'm just saying that if there's more to it than just us getting the water from the MWRA, okay? If we have impediments that are unreasonable, we might have to use alternatives. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
I don't know if anybody understands.
So I guess the
what I'm
question
saying.
is, if nobody sticks to their guns on the $8 million infrastructure, offsite infrastructure improvements that they want, do we still want to proceed and pursue?
I figured out what the impact. That's the spreadsheet. I did one of them where I said, all right, $8 million. and take out the 1.5 in that 7
But
million.
there's a couple of overlapping costs.
Yeah, so I said, take out that, put in the 8 million, and it sounded, I interpreted the memo that I saw in one way, but, yeah, you can do it, and you'll see, and then I would think you want to make a decision. It's a lot of money, there's no doubt about it, but again, looking at what the impact on the rates and what a ratepayer would see on their bill, I think is worthwhile looking at.
I'd make the comment that
And I agree
the way they
on
dealt with Sharon
on their whole
is they
water system.
divided, they said 1.5 million, and what period you want to pay it over, they said 10 years. So Sharon's just paying them a straight 150, there's no interest involved. It's 150 a year. There's no way we should be paying anybody, whether it's 5 million, 4 million, or 6 million up front, not knowing what the heck's going to happen in over 20 years. They could shut off their water supply, blow up their pipes, go out of business, who knows? It's an impossible. It's got to be so much a year over a period of time, so we know we're getting our value for what we're paying for. The other thing is, if Jim's going to negotiate with him, Jim might say, you force us to do another well for $4 million. We can take $4 million and go for another well instead of hooking this up. That doesn't help you guys out in your capital budget. I mean, you got to be realistic about this and look at the capital budget for Norwood for 1 year. See what it is. It's peanuts probably because they're so frugal over there anyway. So how does he justify, us paying more than their capital budget to hook up? Because we're going to be paying them for wheeling charges over time. I think in the seizure of Willett Pond is privately owned. No, it's easier to seize it when it's private. Norwood had nothing to say about it.
Yeah. No, but it's not on the privately owned, isn't it? I think it's given to the town now.
No, it wasn't given to them. They tried, they wanted to give it. I think it was given to the state, right?
Yeah.
Or PCR?
PCR.
Yeah.
Okay, it's given to the state.
Because no one wanted to take ownership of that dam when that was going.
You're talking about Willett Pond.
It's no longer private.
All right, so I think that, I think you should figure out, Jim, maybe if you want somebody to negotiate with them, but I think realistically, $4 or $5 million is realistic. The fee for what Sharon did, if he did it for 30 years, I would think $250,000, $260,000 a year isn't unreasonable for what we're going to get over the time period. It's an insurance premium. That's the way I have to look at it. But not borrow $8 million and give them a big check and hope everything works out in the next 30 years. That won't fly. I would never support that.
I wasn't, before getting that number from him that I shared with you, I wasn't anticipating that $8 million at all. So we all.
Did you send him your memo? Because it looks like you attached to your memo what you sent us, the capital budget. Did you send it to him?
No, I didn't send him this. It was just an email back and forth. You can see the email thread at the bottom. So I forwarded you. Here's my thread between the town manager and myself, and here's the memo. Commissioners, I didn't send it. I wouldn't give him that.
No, I wouldn't. Yeah, because I say, Norwood's got a smaller, more frugal capital budget.
Yeah.
And I would put it in terms of what their capital budget is, what we can afford in our capital budget.
Can you look at
And an
this?
annualized fee, just like you treated Sharon. Why would you treat us any worse than Sharon? For crying out loud, we're your good neighbor and good buddy over here.
And I wouldn't be looking to borrow all $8 million. I agree with you, John. I would be like, okay, whatever the magic number is, if it's 8 years, $1 million, simple numbers, $1 million a year, or 16, 500. So,
Not $1 million, I would say something like what Bill and I talked about is if you take the $8 million over 30 years, it's $266,000 a year.
yeah. So
That actually isn't too bad. Somewhere around that 200, 250. That isn't too bad. Yeah, consider that's what you.
I would be looking to do. I think where we'd be required to do an intermunicipal agreement with them on this thing. And in the wording there, I wouldn't even go for 30. I'd go for 40. I tried 50 to be honest with you, to keep the cost low. I don't know if they agree to that because it's not borrowing. That's the other thing I was thinking of. Because borrowing for this has certain, you go 40, 30, depending on what it is. This isn't borrowing, this is an intermunicipal agreement between the two towns.
So much a year.
By your annual operational costs.
I'd look to spread out the cost as long as possible to
Yeah.
not shock all the rates.
They said no
Ideally,
interest.
that's the way to do it, if you go higher.
Everybody at Sharon said, no, there was no, he said the same thing he said to you, no interest, you know.
Yeah.
So he's got a target in mind, so we're gonna get over 25 years, we're gonna get X.
Yeah.
That's what he's selling.
If you read that report there, I mean, they're looking at PRP upgrades, they're looking at.
Yeah, that could be whittled down too. Why don't you whittle it down a little bit?
I already whittled it down, Mike. I can tell you right now, the consultant's not going to agree.
We could say to Stantec, why would we, if we can build a well for $4 to $5 million, why do they have to be pay you $8?
And they might
We're
say,
saying to them,
go build your well.
Yeah, so I
Bluff them that you're gonna do the mine brook. What do they know?
I do have comments on our estimate. I think the estimate of $8 million. The actual estimate for Minot Street is just $1 million, and all other streets what they have given for, they are not coming. The water is not coming to Walpole. The Pleasant Street, the Summer Street, they are just uploading their pipes. So actual cost just to connect to water to the Walpole is $1 million plus whatever the contingencies are. Anything else is out of that number. So I think we need
There
to.
are three improvements on that list of Pilot Street connection that I think are valid. One is the replacement of the line on Pilot Street, for
Which is
roughly
ready.
$1,025,000.
Yep.
The other two are the Hallsbrook crossings, which are down on Washington Street. That makes all the sense in the world to me, because it's in close proximity to the Pilot Street connection, and it'll aid in getting the water there. I agree that the Pleasant Street and Summer Street one,
Yeah.
those are far-fetched. I think.
They might get some money from calculating the water from the Norwood line coming into Norwood to their treatment plant, and then from that line to Washington Street.
I believe they originally told us Milo Street was an 8-inch. Now all of a sudden it's 6-inch online. Yet, it'll still carry the water that we need.
It says that in there.
The hydraulic model showed that the existing conditions on Milo Street will carry the water, the 1 million gallons that Walpole needs through that connection point. Now we need a 12-inch. How much more water does a 12-inch carry than a water than a 6? Like 14, 15 times? It's not just twice.
They have no more further development on Milan, so they would have no benefit of an expansion of a pipe too.
No, they're basically trying to fund their infrastructure improvement.
Yeah, but why would they want 12 inches there? When they end, they don't need it.
No, I don't know what the logic is, John.
Okay.
But then, that cost me again, that would be negligible, 8-inch versus 12-inch, because you got the price of the cost, you still need to dig the trench.
Is it better off for you to craft the argument or to have Leah do it?
Wait.
I mean,
Leah.
Leah, excuse me. That's almost Jim's wife's water. It's your negotiation. I don't want to.
I appreciate this feedback, because this is kind of what I was hoping you guys would give me the blessing. Listen, thanks for this, but go see what you can get it down to, and come back to us with, here's the total cost,
Well, Tom, you can't sell it. You got a well you could do for $4 to $5 million. You can't sell 8. Maybe you can sell 5 or 6. It's got to be spread out and whatever.
Well, the only thing is, I said to Rick, well, I guess we're going back to the drawing board. You want to share the conversation you had with her today? She said, that Minebrook?
Yeah, she thinks, she being Leah, is of the opinion that if we can somehow, some way achieve the connection with the MWRA, then we should do it. Okay, she says the permitting of the well will be a bear, it'll be a nightmare. This in itself with the Interbasin Transfer Act is going to be a nightmare. That, she believes, will be a bigger nightmare. I think we have a lot of deficiencies in our aquifer that will aid us with that interbasin transfer in terms of net groundwater depletion and things of that sort. I did, while we were speaking, ask Leah if maybe Stantec could model somewhere else and see if there were other locations that wouldn't require infrastructure improvements on the nodes.
Yeah.
Fast forward to Lee Brook, we're surrounded by 12-inch mains. How they could possibly argue that they would need to upgrade anything in that area is beyond me. So would you like them to approach Stantec and all of that, or just stay focused on Mile Street?
You know, there's a municipal parcel on, we have the tax title on this paper street there, on Mert, off of Mert. There's a Norwood Town parcel that goes to Garden Parkway.
Right.
Connects, and then you go up, like you said, up.
Based on what I saw from the Norwood distribution map, we're surrounded by good, solid infrastructure in Norwood.
Yeah.
Even if we would need to run a dedicated line from a connection point in Norwood on Garden Parkway or Countryside, wherever it may be, to Bullitt Street, it's not a great distance.
Oh, you want to get to Bullitt?
We have
I thought you were trying to get to 1A, where they didn't have.
No, not 1A, Bullitt Street. Our Bullitt Street has a 12-inch water main in it, all the way to 1A. And it would be essentially connecting to the Milet Street.
Oh, well, you could come right up Merton, right up, whatever the name of that short street is.
Do you want us to explore that?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're not. The selectmen are 2 cents about the soccer people anyway. You can do something that gets them off the hook with soccer people, everybody be happy, probably.
Well, I'm not concerned about soccer people, because I think they were very gracious.
Yes.
Yeah, I think what at least my worry is that 7 plus 8 million, 15 million, we have to negotiate. We don't want to rush to add this to our.
So at what point do you think that we should abandon it? Do you have that, do you have a figure in mind that we should abandon the MWRA thing?
Well, the question you need to think about is Norwood being legitimate in terms of what they think assessing is the true fee it should be and the impact of 2 different sites in their town, or they just have a number, and that's first of all, if they negotiate, and secondly, if they're really looking at the infrastructure costs, it's probably worth looking at another site. If they're not, if they just want a number and look good.
So everything that they listed in that Stantec report.
I haven't read it yet, I just got it.
So when you get a chance to read it, you'll see that it's all based on the hydraulic model. The hydraulic model, when they read it, showed that they had an impact to their system back on Pleasant Street at Summer Street, that far back. Now, by their own admission, it's negligible, but it's been identified as a deficiency that they want corrected, and it's included in that report. As far as the adjustment of the PRV, that's a simple, what's that take, 10 minutes, Scott? We do it all the time.
So the sense I'm getting from the commissioners is, get us the best deal possible here with Norwood. I don't think you care about where it is. Lee, Mert, Mylon, down here, 99, whatever.
We've always been there. I don't think anybody's ever wanted to. People just watching, think, where's the closest point to Norwood?
What is
ever specified?
As of now, what is the cheapest way to connect to them? That's what I like. The $7 million will not apply to us.
We probably should settle on a place because the time is moving along in that 5-year.
You can still do the Interface and Transfer Act and all that permitting issues.
Okay.
Site is a site.
I think we've already, a year and a half has already passed on that 5-year window there.
But we're not stopping on
No,
our
but if
saying,
we keep saying we're going to go over here, and we asked, and I thought, they must have a model. Wright Pierce would give us an answer quickly. And we waited, oftentimes, Stantec, it seemed to take forever for them to get back to us.
Well, something, Bill, they're not our consultant.
I understand.
So they're going to work for their client
I
at
know.
their pace.
Yes, and particularly since we were going to pay.
How do you you think you should proceed by having Leah make an argument or a debate with Santec, or you should give Jim some kind of a structure?
First and foremost, we should talk to Stantec. I mean, that's what they mentioned in their memo, right?
Yeah.
Should we sit down and talk about this? I think they
Ideally,
listen to Leah.
I'd like to have Leah, technical stuff, and probably Rick and I sit down with his DPW director and him, with the general manager there, and say, listen, this is where we're at. Can you work with us on this? We've identified Lee and Merch, Santa, if we can get them to say that's believable. They haven't looked at it yet, though, and I didn't see it there.
No, they didn't look at it, but it's a simple hydraulic wall.
Yeah. So, we're still on track for going to the fall town meeting with this thing. I don't see us, yeah.
The information transfer permit is going to be the biggest of the biggest. And that, she's working on that right now. Going over the application with her today. So,
The biggest thing I think is, it's an annualized fee, it's not over 270 or 65,000 a year, we can probably swallow it and make out fine for the ratepayers over 2 decades, 2.5, 3 decades. But it's worth probably you guys saying, hey, it's going to be tough to sell town meeting more than 4 or 5 million because we can put in a new well. People are going to pressure us to go for a well instead of going to Norwood. You're going to lose out on this deal.
it's
And
a good
do you
one.
want to ask them, do you want us to find another location that can have lower impact for you? Would you really legitimately consider that, or kind of find out where it is?
I can ask that question tomorrow.
Mr. Commissioner, I have a very low level dummy question. If Norwood is putting all this upgrades and then, upgrading the system, why do we need pumping station on our side if they can provide the...
Different hydraulic pressures.
So if they are
We need to
upgrading
get
their
the water,
system...
we need to move the water from their system to our system.
No, if they are upgrading their system to supply to us,
I don't believe their static pressure will change.
so if we, let's say, start with Norwood side and they connect to our pipe without pumping station, and our need comes after 5 years to actually pump the water. So can't we change it to two-phase approach? Because we are not going to buy it from the day one.
If you opened it without a pump station or whatever, it just depends where you do it, whether the water will be coming out of Walpole into Norwood or
It's
going
all
the other
that
way.
they predict. If our tanks are full, if we went down the Route 1 in Union Street right now and opened the valve, our tanks would empty into the
So you need pump station first, or you need
like
the...
to equalize pressures and keep.
Yeah.
The pump station is a necessity. It's not something that can be phased
And
in.
which tank are we going to fill up?
It'd be the central system tanks, which would be the ones that are up on Old Post Road.
On the Washington Street, near the Washington Street.
Up by Patrick's house, off of Old Post Road.
Yeah.
The elevation is like 349, I think, 345,
337.
337, I think you're right. And if their system, and we have high-pressure systems, North Walpole, South Walpole, one near...
Yeah, these are all engineering things
Yeah.
that they need to have. Stantec and Leah need to hash out.
So the question is like, can we split this into two phases? Like either Walpole first and Norwood second, or Norwood first or Walpole second? Because on day one, we are not going to pump all the water, isn't it? We just want to have insurance that we usually get connected and get the water.
So I was under the impression we were going to pump the water on day one. Otherwise, it's basically like an emergency connection, right?
Which is what Sharon did.
Right. That's the difference between Walpole and Sharon. No, Sharon's is strictly an emergency connection in the event they have a catastrophic failure. Ours is supplemental in that we're going to use it probably on a daily basis.
Question. Is Norwood do they have pumps? Do they have?
I believe they have pumps in it, booster pumps in their system.
Why?
It's all hydraulic grade line.
Yeah, and I was just figuring that out. Bellevue Hill is 330 feet high, and that's where the tanks are up there. The aqueduct comes down Old Route 1, which was Washington Street, and it goes into Norwood. That's where it stops. So they're getting that head, and you can figure what the head is on 3.
Yeah,
Our top is 300.
Yeah, look at that Stan Tech report. It has all the static pressures, I believe, in the area, correct?
Yeah.
No
So
way in Walpole, so.
my point is that we could get that. When you look at topographical maps, Quabbin is 72 miles away. It's all downhill to Walpole Center. Okay, just that's a fact. Now, if they have pressure pumps and they're moving water around, I don't understand why they're blaming us or anything like that. So are they saying we're going to suck water out of their system?
Right. What they're saying is that there are impacts
Yeah,
in their system.
but that's nebulous. What kind of impacts exactly?
Well, they're identified in there.
Yeah, but they don't make that sense to me. Okay?
They do. If you look at it, they do make sense.
He's talking about.
They did exactly what I would have done to them.
Okay. Talking about these numbers
If they
there,
asked.
and then.
I would have done it too.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't expecting it to be that much.
Oh, it doesn't make sense that if you get 330 feet in my old neighborhood, by the way, I lived on Bellevue Hill, and they're talking about 327 right here.
Yeah, I don't have.
Yeah, it only loses that much pressure. There's something wrong. Okay, just in the map.
They most likely have booster pump systems.
Okay, if they have booster pumps in it, I understand. But if they don't, then there's something.
If they have DRVs, they have booster pumps. If they have pressure regulator valves, they have booster
The
pumps.
pressure regulator
And
valves are fine,
They said that they have pressure
but they get
regulators.
booster pumps working too. That's a
Do you
different
have what you
story.
need? I'm going to have to go.
Yeah, they do.
So, yeah, well, keep us informed of what you're thinking, Jim, but I think the big takeaway is not to look at this, it's like if you lease a car, you don't care what the car costs, because you're never gonna own it, you just pay a monthly lease. It's like an insurance premium. We're gonna pay so much a year. As long as it's reasonable, $250, something like that, that's probably workable. You know, I mean, I'm not saying $8 million question, just if we can negotiate a better deal. The sticker shock at town meeting would be. And I think, even if we could, in this piece down here at the bottom, Jim, maybe not say it this way, like the figure change from 7 to
I
9.
might need your help with the wording of this info.
That's
So,
no,
you'll remember. I'll call you tomorrow.
That's to the youth commission, so let me know.
Thanks, Bill.
All right, Bill. Thank
See you.
Bye, Bill.
Yes.
So I think everybody's in agreement that the inventory connection is the way to go. And the question is, what price are we willing to pay? That's it in a nutshell.
4 million for all connection.
4 million all in?
All in.
So,
Not tomorrow.
bottom line is we'll come back, I'll get it down as low as I possibly can.
And the annual thing is, I think you guys agree, it's a non-starter to say they want to, because it isn't his agreement. We're talking about over so many years. A lump sum is a no-go. It's just what they did with Sharon, spread it over.
We'll never get a lump sum through town meeting, though.
Huh?
We'll never get a lump sum.
No, we won't even talk like that.
Yeah.
We'll have to get it out, we won't have to get it out of borrowing. We can't come out of that. Do it other way.
Keep in mind, that's where it all begins, this at town meeting. If town meeting says no, then the rest of the process is dead, because the MWRA will not, unless they have a certified vote from town meeting, they will not even entertain the connection.
And we'll have to adopt a special water rate for town meeting members.
We'll have to have another.
Tier 6.
$10.
Or establish a district.
I like that.
He likes it because he get more money out of this.
With Norfolk,
Fire district,
only with Norfolk.
your fire district.
Huh?
Fire district, so you bring your fire department in,
Yeah.
like down the Cape, yeah, they're all districts.
Well, didn't Norfolk just want us to take over their water system?
They wanted us to help them.
Yeah.
All right, any other business, motion for adjournment? Okay, move to second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.